Is this thing going yet? All right, there we go. We're live. You guys, my coffee is on the Keurig as we speak. I'm going to have to go grab it real quick, and then we're going to hop right in. By the way, raise your hand if you're having a good time. I'm having a good time. You know what? This stuff is real interesting, so we're going to dive right into it. But I'm going to grab my coffee first. There we go. Okay, I think I hear the drip ending. Give me 10 seconds to go retrieve it, and we'll get this thing going. In the wise words of Homer Simpson, this isn't the worst day in crypto. It's just the worst day of crypto so far. I think I'm funny. We'll find out over time if that's true. Pat says he wants a sip. I'll do a sip right now. Hope that was nice and loud. So I'm going to say good morning, and then I'm going to do my little intro. So, good morning, Black Gold. Good morning, Kristan. Good morning, Mill. Good morning, Baller. Good morning, Dean, Scorpio, Jim, Pat, Johnny, Gangsta. I think I got everyone. Awesome. All right. Good morning if you're watching this in the live playback. How we do this on this channel is we start the stream off with a market update. This is a crypto-focused channel, so we start out with crypto. Then we'll look at silver and gold. We'll look at oil. We'll look at the Japanese bond market. We'll look at stocks. From there, we move on to news outlets. Let's see, what's moving in the market, what major events are occurring. Sometimes we break out and we'll do some Twitter sessions, maybe some live demonstrations. In general, we want to find out what's going on in this crazy crypto market, and it's never been crazier than it is today, man. I don't know about you guys, but every time I look at the charts, they just keep falling. In fact, the title of this very live stream said that if Bitcoin breaks 67,000, it's going to be historic. I made that title like an hour and a half ago. It's already under 68,000. We're approaching 66 as we speak. Without further ado, let's just open up the charts and get... I'll open up my favored ticker layout in a little bit, but I want to just kind of start us off easy for the beginning. I see we got 25 people in the stream. Let's see if I'm getting better at this being a content creator thing. If you guys could hit the like button now, I think that'll help more people find this stream as we go. So I'd appreciate it if all of you could hit that like button preemptively. And if you're watching this on the live playback, still like it, leave some comments. I do come back to these live streams and look for, unanswered comments. So across the board, whether you're with us live or with us after the fact. Coffee sip time. What's going on, FRD? Just saw you joining. Well, today is it's pretty interesting. I was telling some of you guys privately that in a strange way, I'm kind of, you can't deny it. This stuff is exciting. This is more exciting to me than laying flat. Bitcoin for, let's see here, I'm on a 1-year chart here. Really, guys, from around May of 2025 to November, Bitcoin was pretty flat, didn't do a whole lot. Then it kind of dipped a bit. Then it's kind of stayed flat there for about 3 months. You know what? If it's going to tank like this, bring it on, because at least this shows that something's happening. And we don't know exactly what is going on. We all can make our own guesses, our own estimations. Something is moving behind the scenes. Our goal here is to try the best of our ability to figure out what. Now, Black Gold has a funny comment right here. If you think your bag is cooked, just remember Sailor is down billions. It's really interesting to me. I was at the gym this morning watching a couple reels on Instagram. There's so many people saying that if you're a Bitcoin guy, to stop holding Bitcoin and just try to flip the market. I expected a lot of this type of behavior. You guys know on this channel, we buy and hold, and we do not involve ourselves in day trading or trying to time the markets or thinking that we're clever. All those people are going to get super, super cooked. As long as we just hold on. You know, I always go back to my NVIDIA story. It's kind of the cornerstone of my investing life. So you guys probably know I bought NVIDIA when I was either a senior in high school or a freshman in college. The specifics that don't matter when we go back that far. Been holding the same NVIDIA shares ever since. And that NVIDIA, you know what? Let's pull it up. Because a picture says 1,000 words. I've never micromanaged my NVIDIA over the 15 or so years that I've been holding it. And this just really tells the big story. So I would have bought NVIDIA around 2011 or 2012. Unfortunately, it's been so long I can no longer get the receipts from Vanguard. But I guess that doesn't really matter, because whether I bought it in 2011 or 2012, you can see on this chart, you know, NVIDIA split multiple times. I didn't actually buy it when it was 50 cents, but it would be 50 cents in today's prices due to the stock split. I'm going to move my chair back just a little bit. I think I'm too close to the mic. Point being here, guys, imagine what all of our favorite coins, our H-bars, XRP, Flare, imagine what those are going to look like 15 years from now. It's going to look very similar to this chart, and maybe it'll do it even faster. Now, I am up on NVIDIA. It's hard to know the exact amount. I want to say 250 to 260x. And when it hit its all-time high of 200, I think I would have been up close to maybe 350x on that thing. Assuming I really did buy it around this 30 to 50 cent range. That's pretty wild stuff, you guys. And I'm not saying I'm a genius. I bought NVIDIA because I liked playing World of Warcraft, and I bought an NVIDIA graphics card. Because of World of Warcraft, it made the game run like butter. Voila, I found something I wanted to be invested in. I was working at a grocery store, returning shopping carts back to their corrals. I'm sure you guys see the high school kids doing that all the time. I didn't have a whole lot of money to throw into it. So obviously, you know, that's not retirement money, but it is reference money. You know, I want to say I put in $400, turning $400 into, at what one point was just a hair above 80,000. That's pretty freaking crazy, you guys. And I think that we're going to be doing that with crypto. We just have to be patient. And don't get caught up in this whole flip your bags, taking profits along the way. If you want to take profits, fine. You know, I'm not exactly adverse to it. Sorry, I got an eye crusty. Not financial advice, by the way. But if you're going to take profits, at least have a plan for those profits. Don't just take it out just because you want to lock in something and have it sitting in cash and being on the sidelines. Because that's going to be how you're going to really miss out on those super duper long-term gains. Let's jump back over. Everything's down. I mean, it's going down so fast that we almost can't even cover it live, because by the time I finish the sentence, it'll be even lower. Bitcoin, 67,000. We covered this on the stream yesterday. I mean, this is wild, you guys. Yesterday on the stream, it was somewhere around 72. Looking back on this bad boy. Yeah. Okay. So now I was streaming yesterday around noon. Bitcoin was at 73.5. It's down pretty much 10% on the day. I have this graphic. This one is up to date, by the way, you guys. I was able to find one that's current all the way to Yeah, I think this thing is quite literally live. It's recording the price right now at 73,000. So it's maybe it's a few hours behind, but in general, this little graph right here. I've mentioned this thing a few times. I want to see if I can get better at explaining it. I feel like every time I explain something, I get a little bit better at it. So what this chart is essentially showing us in a very layman's term, Bitcoin, as we all know, follows a 4-year halving cycle. What does that mean? It means that every 4 years, Bitcoin is programmed to do this. It's going to reward, quite literally, half the blocks that it did prior. So right now, if you're mining Bitcoin, I believe it's 3.2. I think that's the right, it's fractional, so it's not just exactly 3.2. But the next Bitcoin halving cycle is going to push that bad boy down to 1.5. And so that is a 4-year cycle, hence why this chart is shaped the way it is. Now, the point of this chart is to show that at no point in this entire history of the coin, and you can go at any point on this chart, at no point in a 4-year time span has Bitcoin's all-time low met the previous 4 years' all-time high. We can see there's 10 times it came close. So unfortunately, this chart doesn't put dates, but you can see over here, and maybe I'll move myself up here for now. You can see right here, it came pretty darn close to crossing at one point. Well, right now we are at 67,000. If we match this up with 4 years ago, now hold on, that something that rare doesn't seem right, because let's look back over at the Bitcoin chart. So if we're at 67,000, what would exactly 4 years ago be? 2021? Okay, maybe that does make sense then. Well, no, it'd be 2022, wouldn't it? Huh. Well, that's curious. Maybe this chart... You would think that, so if it's at 70, okay. I see what's going on here. Let me put this in rear view. Let me hit the reverse button real quick and back this thing up a little bit. Yesterday on stream, I said that the 2021 all-time high was 67,000, which is true. But if we're going strictly off 4 years, technically on February 5th of 2022, Bitcoin would have been around $38,000 to $40,000-ish $1,000. So this chart is still safe, at least for now. But it does show us that, things are looking pretty grim. Now, 38,000 from where we're right now is still basically half. So I suppose Bitcoin has another 50% to fall if it is in fact going to breach this chart. I thought for a moment, I guess yesterday when I was going through this, I kind of misinterpreted the chart a little bit myself, so I apologize for that. But I still do think it is, regardless, still pretty telling that we are officially at a cheaper Bitcoin than what we saw the all-time highs in 2021. That's 5 years ago. The situation's pretty grim, but in general, this is actually how the Bitcoin halving cycle was always projected to go. There's a guy named Raul something. I can't remember his last name. His name is Raul Paul. Now this guy, he's a Bitcoin maxi, so take that with a grain of salt, but he recently spoke about how the Bitcoin halving cycle may be extended now to 5.4 years. And unfortunately, the clip of that I saw was on Instagram and not Twitter, so I wasn't able to save it for the stream. Instagram, for whatever reason, oh my gosh, I'm blocking the frickin' screen here. For whatever reason, Instagram really doesn't work well on desktop, so anything I see on there, it's very hard to transition it over to the stream here. But in general, what he was talking about there was that Bitcoin was 4-year cycle. Maybe now we're looking at 5.4-year cycle. So what does that mean for us? Well, as long as crypto is going to continue following the Bitcoin halving cycles, which I'm about to sneeze. There we go, you guys. I beat that one. I beat that sneeze like a... I was going to use the B word, but maybe that wouldn't be appropriate for YouTube. I beat the sneeze. Anyways, Bitcoin, if it's going to follow its halving cycle, 2026 is probably going to be a crypto winter, which means we probably won't see a whole lot of recovery out of Bitcoin, at least not in this calendar year. That could probably start to change around Q4, but I would just say, guys, you know, this is not financial advice. All this is just my opinion, but if you're relying on crypto to get out of a financial situation, I would just say brace for impact. Try to do everything you can not to sell what you have to cover expenses. If that means going out and working 2 jobs, that's what you got to do. Because if you end up in a position where you have to liquidate and the market is where it's at right now, I mean, you're basically out of the game at that point. This bear market might last 6 to 9 months if this is really where it's going. And, you know, we just have to kind of make do with what we've got. Now, there's still opportunity here for all of our favorite coins. You guys know we aren't really buying Bitcoin, at least not on this channel. I still have faith in XRP. I mean, geez, guys, $1.28. You know, when I woke up this morning, it was still at $1.40. In fact, I sent a text to my buddy as soon as I woke up. I was like, dude, what is going on? It's $1.40. I mean, come on. I haven't been awake that long. I've only been awake since like 8 in the morning. That was 3 hours ago. It's already down. Hold on, now I got eyelashes. Already down to $1.28. I'm having all kinds of wardrobe malfunctions today. I got eyelashes, I'm sneezing, I got the eye crusties. I had hockey last night and our game was at 11, and those games always mess me up because I don't get home until around 2 in the morning. And so every time I play hockey, I'm moving kind of slow the next day. Anyways, you guys. $1.30 XRP. Probably going to see this thing keep moving down. So none of this is financial advice. I know that a lot of people are having a tough time. In fact, I saw some negative comments on the channel last night saying that they've lost a lot of money, and that, not saying I'm to blame for that, but I do make this kind of content. Just remember, guys, I'm not the one pressing the buy button on your phone. If you can't take the heat, I'm sorry. I don't know what else I can say. There's a reason we say not financial advice and do your own research. I'm not worried about this. You guys can see I'm clearly not freaking out. But I mean, if this is something that if you're buying this and you can't handle it being down, then you got to think about your own situations and think of your own convictions. I can handle waiting this thing out. But don't come at me with negativity, because it's not my fault that your portfolio is down. Everyone's portfolio is down. My portfolio is down. And I'll probably just kind of leave that there. But I did expect some of that actually to happen. So when you see a liquidation like this, we're down 30% on the week, there's going to be some very angry people out there. And there's only so much that you can do about that. I would hope that you guys seeing that I'm not upset, that I'm not freaking out, gives you some reassurances that in some ways I think a lot of this is going according to plan. Not my own plan, mind you, but the longer you're in this space, the more in tune you get with how there's us, we're the proletariat, you know, we're the 99%, and then there is a 1%. They're kind of the boogeyman. You're not allowed to say what they are. You can have your theories. We don't exactly know for certain who the boogeyman is, but there is a boogeyman, and we'll leave it at that. But there's good reason to believe that all of this is a giant conspiracy to get guys like us out of the coconut tree. You know, we got that. I keep making that analogy that this is a tree with coconuts and we're the coconuts and they're shaking it. They're trying to get as many of us to leave crypto as they can before they fully adopt this stuff and essentially create the future class system. You know, all these things are interrelated. I remember back during the pandemic era, I mean, we were all stuck in our houses. There were plenty of videos circulating the internet about how the plan for humanity was for us all to live in essentially human sardine tins in these, I think they call them 15-minute cities. I don't know if some of you guys were around for that or if you know what I'm talking about. But all these things are interrelated, right? The super wealthy, whatever you want to call them, they want all of us to essentially be miserable rodents living kind of like when you go to the dog pound and there's all these dogs living in cages. That's what they want for you and I. And so I'm trying to really be careful with my words here, you guys. But this is in some ways a spiritual war. If you're in XRP or if you're in crypto in general, even the people in Bitcoin, as much as we get in arguments with Bitcoin people, this is, in my opinion, a spiritual battle of the everyday man versus the uber elite of the world. They don't want us to have this stuff. And if you're looking through any of the Epstein emails that have been coming out, it's very, very clear that Epstein and his cronies were involved with Bitcoin from the very beginning. I mean, we don't know who Satoshi is, but Epstein seemed to have known Satoshi by first name, getting lunch and setting up, dinner with that guy. What does that really mean? We still don't really know. And emails aren't necessarily evidence, but it does get the mind spinning. What's really going on with all of this? We believe that crypto is the future, and crypto's kind of like firearms. A firearm is a tool. It's the person pulling the trigger that could have good or bad intentions, and that's how I see crypto, and that's how I even see Bitcoin. I don't like Bitcoin as a technology because I just don't think that it is effective in a global marketplace, especially with emerging technologies coming out of it, HBAR and Flare and to some extent Stellar and XRP. There's just better options out there than Bitcoin. That doesn't mean I hate Bitcoin. It doesn't mean that I hate people that buy Bitcoin. I think some of this divisiveness is counterproductive. I'm not going to go and kick the Bitcoin people while they're down, especially because we're down as well. So it's kind of like rolling in the mud. Nobody's doing great right now. So I don't see any value into doing things like that. But as far as this struggle against the common man versus the elite, that part I think is 100% true. And as we find more out from these Epstein files, I think we're going to see a mass exodus from Bitcoin. The reputational damage this has done to it, even if Bitcoin is just a tool, I don't know that you can come back from that. Hold on, I'm going to open the window. Which, in a roundabout way, very good news for XRP, great news for Flare, good news for Quant and HBAR. I'm looking at Flare in particular, you guys, and it seems like almost every day they've got some kind of announcement. It's almost actually like mind-boggling to me that I almost can't keep up with all the stuff they're doing. Just yesterday, they released something else. Now, I haven't had a chance to really dig into it, but now they have something else you can do. I guess you can mint FXRP through Hex Trust. I haven't had a chance to really go through and look at this, but it's really mind-boggling to me just how much stuff Flare is doing. I could not be more bullish on it, and looking at it trading at 0.0089 here. I was like, man, I almost kind of want to buy more Flare. If Flare gets down to half a penny, so that'd be 0.005, I'll probably make one more disgusting purchase, and that would probably be the extent of my Flare buying for probably the very, very long term. But this is something that I'm looking at Flare thinking Flare might flip almost the entire crypto market over the next couple of years. I mean, match them up with all the other coins that we know about. Who out there is releasing actual things that we can use on nearly a monthly basis? I mean, Firelight came out in December. Then we had Morpho come out like Tuesday. So that's a 2-month gap there. But there's something new going on with Flare every week, every day. And the price is down because Bitcoin's down. Wait a couple months, maybe a couple years. I would not be surprised if Flare gets up to just crazy, stupid prices. I mean, I want to crawl before we can run. But by 2040, man, I look at Flare thinking this could be a $10, $15 token. Maybe we're too soon to really be making those kind of projections, but I look at just Flare as almost like the Netflix or the Amazon.com of crypto. The amount of innovations they're doing is just above all the rest. I know HBAR is doing great things, but I love HBAR. I really do. There's not a whole lot you can actually do with it right now. I mean, you can buy it and you can hold it. There are staking options, but they're not very easy to use. Flare makes everything so easy, guys. You can do it from one click from your Bifrost wallet now. I mean, I don't think that those kind of details can go ignored. That they've made a system. The chart's not loading. They've made a system very, very user friendly for everyday people that don't want to necessarily learn all the intricacies of crypto. So I think that's amazing. I'm looking at HBAR. It's down to 8 cents. If HBAR goes down to 5 cents, I might do some damage here. I've got ideas that I'm kind of kicking around of how to really get a nice HBAR bag, and it's basically HBAR versus Flare right now. Do I want more Flare, or do I want a little bit more HBAR? I have to make those decisions. Chris says it's easy to use and to stake HBAR. I'd be happy to talk about it. I've been to the HBAR site. I know how to do it, but it's just, for example, I go here. Unlike Flare, they don't just have, stake as something that's directly on their menus. And I know I think if you scroll down, there is some info about staking, but it's just not as easy as Flare does it, even if it is doable. So yeah, like even right now, I can barely find it. Love HBAR. I'm not, I'm just saying, if I go to the Flare website, I can get into staking. Like you almost can't miss it. And here, it's like I got to really poke around here, and then even right here, I'm on this infographic. It's like, okay, so yield farming and staking. But then there's nothing for me to actually click on. So it's like, now I got to go on Google and figure out where to do this. I'm not saying it's not doable, but there's no denying that Flare has it set up in a way that I don't have to go out and peel the internet apart to start staking. And I guess that's the point I'm trying to get at. And if you guys want to, G Carmen says Hashpack wallet, super easy. We can Google that right now. Hashpack wallet. So maybe this is something, I mean, maybe I could learn how to use this and then use that for content, I guess. But point still stands. I'll look through this and maybe we figure it out. But I mean, just as comparison, guys, if I go to Flare Network, not trying to make this a competition or anything, but you come here and it's very easy right off the bat. I can click on F assets. I mean, it doesn't get easier than that. And then I scroll down and I'll go to Mint XRP and boom, you're there. I mean, truthfully, guys, the user experience doesn't get easier than what we just did. The buttons are very easy to find. They're very, the user experience is a big factor in this because I get that in this space, people like us are more than happy to go and pull the internet apart and figure out how this stuff works. But the average investor probably really doesn't want to deal with that. And so for Flare to have such an awesome platform, that's why I'm really excited for it. But I'm not saying I'm not excited for HBAR. I just think maybe some constructive criticism for their end. Maybe they could put a little bit more work into their website. I think that would go a long way. I do think it would be nice to not have to peel things apart just to. I know you guys are saying HBAR is easier to stake and there's no wrapping, but it shouldn't be this difficult to get. Like, for example, if you guys didn't tell me about Hashpack, I probably wouldn't have been able to find this. Or if I did find it, I'd have to go out of my way to like go through multiple pages on Google until I find the right thing. That's all I'm trying to say, guys. I'm not trying to shit on HBAR here. But maybe I'll save this to my favorites and screw around with it later so that I can eventually make a tutorial video for this. Cool, we'll save that. Dean says, I don't like learning new things, old dog, so I want, need, easy, or I'm not interested. See, guys, that's what I'm trying to say. I think that I could get Dean into Flare a lot easier than I could get Dean into HBAR. And Dean, that's not me talking trash. I completely understand your perspective, and it's a very common perspective to have. So Ram says, why would 67K Bitcoin make history? Great question. We kind of already covered it, but Bitcoin hit an all-time high of 67K in 2021. Now we're officially under that, so it's more indicative that we're falling to new levels of Bitcoin where the lows have this current low, and it's probably going to keep going lower. It's just about levels, right? And we were looking at this other graphic earlier, which I'll admit I got this a little bit wrong. I thought we were going to cross this barrier today, which I'm mousing over, but in fact, to cross this barrier, it'd have to go down to 40,000. Still could happen, probably won't, but I don't know if you're familiar with this chart or not. Now, we covered it off earlier in the stream, so I probably won't do it twice. But you can always go through the playback if you want to see that. But I mean, no matter what, guys, this is pretty historic. I mean, how often does Bitcoin fall 20% in 1 week and 8% in 1 day? Dean says, I get it. I'm interested in you teaching me more about Flare. I appreciate that, man. I hope to convince you one day. By the way, Dean, if you want, we've been talking about doing merch. If you want to text me your link, we can try it out right now on the stream and see if it works. We've been trying to figure out how to do a merch shop. The problem is Shopify is very expensive for, we don't have that kind of volume yet. I appreciate that there's 60 of you guys here. But the Shopify account would only make sense if I had like over 500 regular viewers on the stream. Otherwise, we'd be bleeding money through that. So we've been trying to figure out different ways to do this. Dean does have a website, and if he can add a promo code to it, I'll just funnel, and this is all for merch. Like if you want, for example, I got this XRP coin that Dean made for me. You guys have seen the barrel lid that's on my wall. You could work it out with him what you want. He can make custom orders of anything. Oh, sweet. You were able to post a link. I think I made you a official, like, approved member. So let's just take a quick look. I apologize, Dean. I'm actually looking at this for the first time myself. Let me move my head over. So this hat was created as a way to pay tribute to the XRP and Moon Memes idea. Appreciate that. What better way to show your support? So if you guys were to order one of these, I think you said there was a promo code. I'm just going to hit the buy now button and see what happens. Dean, my screen froze. I don't know if this is normal. Oh, here we go. So I think somewhere in here is a promo code. Oh, coupon code. Dean, what's the... Okay, cool. So this is good to know. So I can, Dean, what I'll start doing is I'll throw this in the descriptions of my videos, and maybe I'll plug it at the end of my videos. If you use promo code Andrew, the hat becomes a little bit cheaper, and then that's a way for, that's how we're gonna do, you know, that's how we're gonna do our partnership. This isn't anything crazy, guys. It's just you got two people in this chat that myself and Dean, we're both into XRP. This is just a way to kind of help support the community. You don't have to do it, but if you want one of these hats, here's how you would do it. And then promo code Andrew would get you a couple bucks off. So that link, I'm gonna pin the link for you, Dean. I think this is a good way to do it, Dean. And then we can also make other items down the road. We'll kind of do this as an experiment just to see how things go. Again, don't feel pressured. Like you gotta support us. It's just buy it if you want it, and make the most of your 40 bucks. For what it's worth, it's a pretty kick-ass hat. Musty Production says, what are you on about? 60 viewers, not enough for Shopify. Well, I mean, I don't sell Pokemon cards. I think that's a little bit different. Because think about it, like Pokemon cards, like you're gonna buy a hat one time. I'd love it if you guys bought more, but like, let's be real, you don't need two hats, right? So that's kind of where I'm at with that. With Pokemon cards, you know, you get your shiny Charizard, then you get your shiny Blastoise. It's a little bit different. But it's 30 bucks a month for Shopify. So you'd have to get $30 worth of profit, which means you'd have to get like 15 to 20 sales a month just to break even. And if we do this through Dean's site, we could just circumvent Shopify altogether, and then neither of us have to pay that cost. Pat says, canceling my blue Lambo order for one of those hats. Yeah, so how we set it up, basically I get a $3 commission on anything you guys buy from Dean. So as long as you use that Andrew promo code, that's kind of how we set up our profit structure. Mill says 500,000 flare makes $6 or $7 a day. Depends on you set up your delegation. We'll move up when flare moves up. Yeah, I'm in the same boat there. My idea, I like to work with very easy to understand numbers. So I like the idea of 1 million flare. There's no rhyme or reason why it has to be 1 million. It's just an easy number to work with. If you've got 1 million flare doing 7% annually off of delegating, then you can be pretty reliably certain that you're going to get about 70,000 flare tokens a year just from having wrapped flare. Now, if you go the staking route, some of the staking FTSOs can provide as much as 15%. So if you had 1 million flare, you could be getting 150,000 flare tokens a year. The thought process I have behind this is one day I'd like that to become income, but for the time being, there's not a whole lot to do with a flare token that's a penny, right? So why not let the good times roll, reinvest those wrapped flare tokens? If you had about 1 million over the span of maybe 5 to 6 years, at least through staking, you could probably end up with 2 million total flare tokens that way without ever actually having to buy the tokens again. And then let's just say by 2030, flare is trading at, let's just say it's trading at a quarter, 25 cents. If you had $250,000 generating around 7 to 10%. Hold on, let me get the handy dandy calculator out here. If you had 250,000 US dollars staked up in flare, let's just say you went the staking route, and you got, let's just say you got 12%. Oh, my bad, you guys. I always mess these calculators up. Let's just do it this way. Look, it's been a while since I was in grade school. If you had $250,000 US dollars, not tokens, staked up in flare, getting you about 15% per year, I know that's a little aggressive, but you'd be looking at around $30,000 per year coming out of flare. Not retirement money, but that could get you through some bad times if you had to. And I don't think that flare is going to stop at 25 cents. Eventually I think that flare will be, it's definitely going to be over $1. I just can't tell you guys when. I think right now, with the market being the way it is, I'm saying let's just try to stay alive and accumulate, and we'll worry about the profitability of these things later. And I do think that it'll get there. My bad. I did this with 12%, not 15%. Just something to know about staking, just so that we're all on the same page. On flare, once you stake and you choose your staking date, it's locked up. You can't pull it out. So if you're going to stake for 6 months, just understand it's quite literally locked. You're going to have to wait those 6 months to get your tokens back. Some people might not be aware of that, so I wanted to make that distinction now. That way no one comes here yelling at me that they can't get their flare back because they staked it and didn't realize how it works. I'm not saying that kind of stuff happens all the time, but I have gotten some messages from people, so I guess we're getting to the point where my channel is getting big enough where I now have to kind of make these kind of statements. This isn't financial advice. Yeah, I say it every video, but let's emphasize on the do your own research. If you're going to get involved in this stuff, please understand what it is you're doing. That way, I don't want to see you guys fail, but it's also, I can't take slings and arrows because somebody didn't understand what they were doing and locked their flare away for a whole year when they weren't intending to do that. So just understand that if you get involved in flare staking, that thing is locked up for whatever you told it it was going to be locked up for. Me personally, I don't care because I'm in this for the next decade or longer. So I'm happy to lock my flare up for a whole year. Why not get the money rolling in? I don't have to, aside from going in there to claim it, I don't have to do any micromanaging. It's just, okay, I'm locked in for a year. Let's go. I'll log in once a month, claim my rewards, and move on my merry way. But some people, I guess, they just can't handle that. I don't know. I'll put a little banner that periodically pops up or scrolls to the bottom of the screen, not financial advice. You know, I could do that. Now that I'm getting better with this OBS thing, I'm always kind of tinkering around with it. I I could definitely put a banner. Oh, this is going to make you guys really screwed up here. I could put a banner that either scrolls at the bottom that does that or have it scroll at the top. There's little plugins that I can use to kind of design this stuff, but you know, I kind of look at it as like, let's just get better at one thing at a time. And so for me, just getting these live feeds of the prices, that was tricky enough to set up. So I need to get my mental battery back up. Darrell says you might be able to unlock it and pay penalties. I didn't see any menu options for that, but I suppose it is possible. Maybe you'd have to contact them. I don't know how that would work. I guess I would say the same thing probably goes for Firelight and this new Mystic as well. Let's take a quick look at Mystic. Mystic XYZ. This should be it. Alright, good. I'm not connected, so you guys can't steal my wallet address and try to spoof me. Not saying you guys would do that, but I'm sure some people would try. I'm looking at the total supply here. I thought this would be higher after being live for 3 days. But in any case, 1.5 million has already been staked away, or I don't know if this is actually staking. I want to be clear with that. I don't know if this is staking or if this is lending. The verbiage on the screen doesn't really tell you, but in any case, if you have FXRP, you can get 4% on your XRP in Mystic right now. Now I've noticed the APY changes every day, so just because it's 4.09% today doesn't necessarily mean that it will be tomorrow. Now it looks like we can also do this with wrapped flare. Now I need to see how this all works. So I don't want to say something that isn't true. So is it true that wrapped flare is getting 22% on this thing? I have no idea. I think that sounds kind of almost crazy, to be honest with you. I don't know if 22% doesn't sound like it makes sense to me. But that it could be real. What I'm doing right now is I'm putting a little bit into both of these. Well, I haven't put any into the wrap flare yet, but I have put some into FXRP, and I'm going to do some data collecting, and we'll see over time. You know, once I have a good picture of what my own results are, I'll be able to kind of make heads or tails out of this. Unfortunately, there's no information graphs on here, so quite literally nothing. There's no button that says what this means or what that means. So we're just gonna have to figure this out the old-fashioned way by just doing some data collecting, which I may as well do some of that now while we're here. So Flare's price is 0.08993. Wow, ain't that about a bitch? Don't tell on me. I just swore. Look at that, you guys. This time yesterday, XRP was at $1.55. Now we're at $1.27. So that's got to be pretty scary, huh? I'm gonna real quick on my screen that you guys can't see. I'm just gonna get my balances. That way we can update this in real time, and we'll just see how everything's doing. So unfortunately, I can't exactly let you guys see this part of the screen because it's gonna have my wallet address on it, and I don't necessarily want to do that. So it looks like, well, you guys can see this part. I've got the wallet address hidden. So it looks like, okay, so I've got exactly 100 FXRP in here. It doesn't look like anything's happened yet. So I can put 100 in this bucket. The firelight has not changed. That's still 300. Yeah, we've had no performance out of this yet. So, you know, I just put it in yesterday. The time lock period is 3 days. So I'm thinking maybe that's when we'll start to see those rewards. Oh, okay. Check this out, you guys. So what does this mean? You guys, I'm looking at this in real time, you guys. When you claim your RFLO rewards, Flare emissions through Mystic Finance, they enter a 12-month linear vesting period. As these tokens unlock over the course of the year, you can withdraw the vested portion directly to your... Whoa. Okay. So they're telling me this is a positive feedback loop. I can now use my XRP to generate more Flare tokens. So current epoch ends, whoa, like literally 2 minutes ago. I guess it doesn't tell me which time zone this is in, but current epoch ends at 11:50 on February 5th. Well, it's 11:50 here in the Eastern time zone. These are your earned rewards for the month that are still not claimable. Do note they are estimated. Okay. Well, then we're going to have to add another column to this, you guys. Insert column to the left. RFL air. So we'll go 0, 0, 0, 0, 1.71. Okay, well that's interesting. Maybe I'm probably gonna have to stick this actually over here. Oh, fuck's sakes. All right, how about this? How about this? Let's copy this. Insert to the right. There we go. Oh, no, it's not the color I wanted. I'm doing this on Google Sheets and not Excel, so I don't know where the paste without... I don't even know if they would have that. Whatever. I'll clean this up later. I'll just clean it up real quick. It's fine. Was that the right one? There we go. I'll fix the borders at least later. All right. Well, this is cool. This is cool. Sorry about that. We should be good to go here. So let me just delete this out. So if you guys haven't seen this before, let me make sure that my screen looks right. My Flare data set right here on the left, we've got our wrapped Flare, we've got our delegation reward, we've got our staked rewards, we've got our collateral pool. I'm about to go grab the info on that. And so I think I probably have an epoch that I can claim. So I'm going to go and pull that up real quick. And then we can kind of have this, we can probably look this over in the live stream and then kind of keep a live record of how things are going. And then we'll do, I think on March 3rd, I'll have my first, what do you call it? My first like update video. So I don't have anything to claim as far as, I'll just let you guys see it. As long as the wallet address isn't in there. Oh, it was. All right. Don't steal my shit. What I'm trying to say here is nothing here to claim today, so we're just going to be putting in these values. If you guys like this stuff, let me know. I can't see the chat right now, but I'm going to pop back over in a few seconds here. Now I just need to go check out my collateral pool and then we're good. Gotta connect my wallet here. All right, let's see what we got. All right, look at this, guys. We made a flare token. Oh, oops. There it is, guys. We made a flare token. 1 token since yesterday. Well, actually, and it went from 23.86 to 24.04. Maybe not exactly a flare token, but you can see so far we've made 24.5 flare tokens, and this experiment's only been live for 5 days. Haven't even claimed a real epoch or a real staked reward yet, so I think that's pretty cool stuff. And as far as my collateral pools go for XRP, I'm up to, we are up to 0.07. All right, we're moving places. So that should be, all right, does that make sense? Yes, it does. All right, cool. So I've made basically 1/10 of an XRP so far from my collateral altogether. Wait, is that right? Yeah, that's right. And we'll keep checking up on this stuff. Let me catch up on the let me catch up on the chat. Make sure I didn't lose you guys. I hope that wasn't too confusing for you, and maybe it was a little bit. For those that might not understand what was just happening there, let me just kind of start from scratch. So I started a new video series, and you can watch this video series on my channel. It's under the playlist Flare mini series. So, and then I will basically what's going on here. We're gonna look at the spreadsheet and I'll explain it. I put 50,000 flare into wrapped mode, so I'm delegating that. I put 50,000 flare into the staked FTSOs, so we're recording that. I put 50,000 flare into the collateral pools on flare assets, and then additionally, this stuff just came out this week, so it wasn't in my launch video, but I put 100 XRP into Mystic, and then I've already had 300 in Firelight. So 300 XRP in Firelight, 100 in Mystic. I'll probably bump that up to 300 after I see the first week of progress on this. I just want to get at least some upfront data, and then we can increase that. Otherwise, the flare stuff is going to be static, so I'm not going to be adding any more flare. We're just going to see how the rewards play out, and I'm updating this spreadsheet daily so that ideally at the end of 6 months, I can report back to you guys on what the most profitable reward system was, whether it's, you know, delegating or staking, which I think it was probably going to be staking. But the collateral pool is kind of a wild card. You can see that it jumped up to 24 in a matter of days, but then the past 3 days, nothing's happened with it. So we'll just see how that plays out. Additionally, 100 XRP already made me 1.7 flare, and I literally put that in yesterday. So this actually could get kind of crazy, you know, if you were to put like 1,000 XRP into this thing, that might be generating like 10 flare a day. I mean, it's not a crazy amount, but it's more than I was expecting it to be, especially because I was expecting the XRP to reward more XRP. We'll see about that. We're just gonna have to try all this stuff out. AL says, nothing against Andrew, but I even watched the flare videos he's done and still don't understand anything about it. I'll do my best to try to, you know, I hear you. I want to see if I can fix that for you. So I'm trying to think of the best ways to make this simple. Dean says, is there a cap on how much flare you can stake? I don't think there's a cap. So how do I explain flare in a way that is like very easy to break down? So Flare Network, it's like all these other cryptocurrencies in that it's not just a token, but it's also a developer platform. So if I was a web developer, I can use Flare as a full stack for creating my own apps. This might be a little bit beyond you guys. I'm not going to try and get you into the app creation, but if I was a web developer, I could develop things using the Flare network. The actual tokens themselves, think of those as like fuel, right? So like if you got a car, you got to put fuel in the tank, and that's what operates the car. So when we're buying Flare tokens, we're essentially buying units of fuel, and then we're able to basically hand that fuel out to different entities that are going to use your Flare for purposes that maybe you and I aren't going to ourselves, because we're investors. We're not necessarily on the technical coding side of things. So there's all these different programs that you can contribute your Flare to, and we're really trying to go through all of them and log them on this data sheet. You need some blue M&M analogies? Okay, I got you. Let me think of how to make that work. I will do a blue M&M analogy here in a second, but I want to wrap up what I was saying. So with the Flare network, there's all these different apps going on, and the Flare token is the crux that keeps all of this stuff together. So whether you're wrapping your Flare or staking it or using it for collateral pools or using it to mint XRP, there's just all this different stuff. It's almost like, I got you. AL, have you ever played World of Warcraft? I think I'm about to cook with this analogy, but it's only going to work if you've played WoW. So I'm going to give you like 30 seconds to respond to that. And if you don't, then I'm just going to go with it anyways. Giving you 10 seconds here. Or Yulings. Oh, Yinglings. Those are my favorite beer. AL, have you ever played World of Warcraft or even Super Mario or any of those games? Okay. Well, I'm just going to explain it anyways, and I'll just try to make it super simple. In the video game World of Warcraft, if you do what's called raiding, raiding is when you and all your boys go out into a dungeon with these 50-foot tall bosses, and it takes between 25 and 40 players to kill the boss, depending on which version of the game you're playing. And all the different characters you can play a warrior who hits things with swords, or you can play a mage that uses magic or whatever. There's 9 classes, or like 15 depending on what version you're playing. So I play WoW Classic. So anyways, you got all these different classes all killing the same boss. And what they did in World of Warcraft was, instead of having armor drop from a boss, they instead drop a token. And if I'm playing a warrior, I take this token to the gear shop and I exchange my token for warrior armor. Now a mage could have that exact same token. The mage will go to the gear shop and get mage armor. And the reason they did this was so that when you kill the boss, you don't have 40 people all freaking out because the warrior chest piece keeps dropping, but all the warriors in your guild already have it. So the token assures in World of Warcraft that every time you kill the boss, somebody's walking away from that boss kill with a new piece of chest armor or gloves or whatever the boss ends up dropping. So think of the flare token like the token from a boss kill. I got this thing that on its own doesn't necessarily do anything, but I can convert it into something else that does do something. And the thing it does over here might not be the same as the thing it does over here. So I'm able to mint FXRP with my flare tokens, or I can stick it into, I can wrap the flare and stick it into the delegation FTSOs, which I'm going to do this at this sky level. That's how high level we're doing this. We're doing this at sky level. The FTSOs are all playing a game where they have to report to the flare networks accurate and true prices of a whole bunch of different assets, whether it's gold, silver, US dollar, Japanese yen, other cryptos like HBAR and XRP and Solana. And so anytime that they get the answers right, they get a reward. And they get 90 seconds to make their guesses. So I said I was going to do this at sky level, and now I'm kind of getting into it. But if you look right here, I'm on Catalytica. We're seeing in real time. They got 90 seconds to do these voting rounds. There's 3,360 of them. After they complete these, the reward epoch goes out, or epoch. So that is where you get this 3.5 day figure. See, it just reset. Now there's 1 minute and 30 seconds left. And so all those FTSO providers for wrapping your flare are right now playing a game. It's kind of like the price is right. And anytime they get them correct, they get rewarded. And if they don't get them correct, they don't get rewarded. And so that's why sometimes you'll see hit and misses on the analytics sheet. That's not sky level, so I'm getting too in depth with it. Now, if you want to look at this in terms of blue and yellow and green M&Ms, I'm gonna have to think about how that one works. But I guess what I'm trying to get to with Flare in particular is how this is going to translate to real world interoperability. That's another big, kind of hard to understand word. But imagine for a second that you're a giant institution like the COMEX. That's the Chicago Metals. I don't know the official acronym. I'm just going to Google it. It's the Chicago Commodity Exchange, or at least I think it's Chicago. Or I think they're based in Chicago. I guess that's doesn't really matter. So the COMEX is a commodity exchange. They do gold, silver, oil, lumber, all that fun stuff. Let's say you're COMEX and Flare comes to you and says, we've designed this system that can tell you what the price of gold will be in China, India, London, the United States. And this thing is 100% of the time correct. If you're COMEX, you might say like, oh, well, you know, we've been bleeding money because some of these algorithmic traders, you know, they're trading on algorithms no longer executed by humans. We've got these algorithms that are using our exchange to flip margins on the Shanghai exchange. And so they're buying gold on our market and selling it to Shanghai within milliseconds. And they're basically leaking, or COMEX is like, well, we're leaking profits and we don't know how to stop this. Well, Flare comes in and says, we've designed this system that can track all the prices in real time and it's 100% accurate. All you have to do is use our Flare tokens to take advantage of that system. And so what COMEX would then do essentially be their own ginormous FTSO, if that makes sense. So if I go back to Catalytica, imagine, if you will, a multi-billion-dollar company becoming an FTSO. They probably need to have a whole lot more tokens than what we're using for. You gotta understand, we're all pioneers here. I mean, we're basically nerds playing with technology that, for the most part, has not been adopted yet. So if you play WoW, or if you World of Warcraft, or if you've played other video games that has something called a beta test, we are essentially beta testing this system so that bigger players can adopt it and use it at scale. And that is where, when I call myself a DeFi pioneer, that's where that mindset comes from. I'm beta testing these systems so that we can collect the data that major institutions are going to want, so that they can say, okay, yeah, we do want this thing. Here's the results that some of these nerds out there have been collecting for the past couple of years. And so that's my mindset. That's why I'm looking at Flare and I'm like, man, this thing is so cool, because when this thing goes live, I mean, it is live, but when it gets adopted at scale, I think Flare's price, it ain't going to be an eighth of a penny. It's going to be like, I mean, I think this thing could go to 50 cents very quickly in a matter of time that would freak most people out. But it's not going to get to that level until it gets adopted. Yo, Baller, that's amazing. Baller just bought the first hat. We should put Dean, you should put an autograph on it, like first hat or something like that. This is all proof of concept. We're just two guys figuring this thing out. So, not a major partnership by any means. It's not like Etsy reached out to me to do videos. We're just two guys. So anything you guys can do to support us is awesome. And don't feel obligated to either. Don't be like, oh, I got to support these guys. Only buy the hat if you really want to buy it. As things grow, I'm going to start eventually entertaining sponsors, but I want you guys to know that I'm only going to partner up with groups that I personally believe in. I've had to turn some of them down because I don't trust them. There was this one group that reached out to me and something just didn't feel right. So I told them I wasn't going to work with them anymore. And not, when I say work with them, it never even got to that level, but I was on the phone with some, they were sending me AI generated videos, and I was like, okay, I can't work with you guys. But I am working with another group that I think could definitely turn into something. And in the very near future, it should be pretty obvious what group that is, but I'll wait till that video comes out. And you guys are smart, so you'll be able to figure it out pretty quick. Let's see what's going on with Bitcoin. Bitcoin's kind of flattened out a little bit since we started here. Oh, AL, man, I appreciate that, dude. Thank you for $10. That's incredible. You guys really make all of this possible for me. So I hope you guys understand that. I really do appreciate this. Darrell says, what did they say? So here's what was going on. I got reached out by some asset management group, and they wanted to set up an interview with me, and I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever, I'll take the interview. Well, over the span of the weekend, these guys bombarded my email with probably over 10 different, hey, Andrew, you should watch this video before our call on Monday. And I was watching it, and this guy had such robotic movements where, like, the hands were moving, but his neck wasn't. And I was like, something just doesn't feel right about this. And then they sent me a bunch of testimonial videos, and all the testimonies were like, I didn't know anything about trading until I worked with these guys, and they made me $40,000 on one trade. And I'm like, okay, for one, I don't do trading. I buy and hold. So that's not going to work for me. But then the more I thought about it, I was like, these guys are going to try and get me to scam my own audience. So I was just like, I can't get involved in that. So I sent them an email, and I was just like, this isn't going to work out for me. I've had a few of those. I get emails probably 4 4 or 5 a day from exchanges or groups in parts of Asia that starts with an I and ends with Dia. I basically just ignore all of them. That's nothing personal if any of you guys are Southeast Asian. It's just, when you get so many of those on a daily basis, it basically is just like, here's another one. So I avoid those. I avoid anything that's Chinese. I apologize if you're watching this and you're Chinese. It's nothing personal. But I already get enough of that in my comments section of my videos where there's bots writing in Chinese impersonating me. So I'm not trying to be a bad guy here, but there are certain countries that I just am like, yeah, I can't work with sponsors coming out of that, and it's nothing personal. But I'm not looking to scam my own audience, so that's a big thing that I'm looking for. But I also wouldn't take a sponsor that I wouldn't also use their product. So that for me, that's like a very important detail. We'll see how all this shakes out. I get multiple emails. I think it's only a matter of time before for a good one. And there's one I'm working with right now that I think could play out in a very good way. And not to be cryptic here, but within the next 48 hours, you should probably be like, oh, that's what he was talking about. Nothing's officially set in stone with them yet, but we're working things out, and that could be pretty exciting. Let me catch up on some of these chats here. I'm sorry if I haven't read the chat as much today as I normally do. I've just been kind of on a roll. I'm seeing a question here from Steph. If you lend for set period and stake for set period, what's the difference? Sounds like the same thing to me. I would say that they're largely, I mean, from an investor's point of view, not to be overly simple here, but as long as I'm getting a reward, I don't almost necessarily care what it's called. If it's staking, if it's lending, on the back end, there's going to be differences. Like if you lend, someone's literally got hold of your tokens, whereas staking, it's more like, how do I put this? It's kind of like staking would be like putting a trophy on a podium and saying, look what I've got. Whereas lending would be like, here's 10 XRP. In a couple months, you owe me 11, if that makes sense. I don't know if that was the best way to put it, but I mean, staking quite literally, if you think about what the word means, you're basically putting your tokens into the action. You're saying, I'm staking my claim here. And by doing that, you're helping provide security for the market. Another part of it, though, that I don't necessarily hear a lot of people talking about is that when you stake your assets, it is quite literally the opposite of selling. And so if you think about the long-term health of crypto, if we want to move away from the casino reputation, staking's the best way to do that, because you're quite literally saying, this is what I got and I'm putting it on the trophy podium for everyone to see. That's not the best analogy because it's not like everyone's looking at your portfolio, but you're telling the network, here's my wallet, I'm in the game, I'm sticking around, I'm not selling. And to me, that's what staking is. And so if you're someone like Flare or someone like, Vitalik from Ethereum or the people at Solana, you want people to stake because it helps keep your system alive. So I'm a very big fan of staking for that reason. I don't know if that actually answered your question or not. But I would say that lending is a little bit different, because with lending, it's just like, here's 10 XRP, in 6 months, give me 11. So I feel like they're similar, but maybe not the same thing. Now we got a super chat from Musty, man. I appreciate that, man. $11. You guys are awesome. AL says, go ahead, bro. Just sip from the AG1 bottle. You know what, man? If AG1 wrote me a big enough check, I'd probably do it. But guys, this is just between us, right? As if I hold the mic like this, the AG1 can't hear me, right? Like it's like oh man, I'm gonna get in some trouble for this, you guys. It's like coming up with a solution and then finding the problem after the fact. Like, what do I need all these ground up vegetables for? Do you really? I've never met someone who was like, man, my life wasn't going well, and then I started drinking this green powder, and now my life is great. Never heard that from anybody except for the podcasters selling it. I've never met someone in the wild who's like, man, this AG1 stuff really is fixing my life up. So that's how I feel about that. Other ones I can't stand, that freaking guy who sells soap. I won't say what his brand is, but his brand might have a mascot that is a Sasquatch. This is just conjecture. I have no idea what I'm talking about right now. But if I was selling a bar of soap with Sasquatch as my logo, that would probably be someone I don't like. Oh man, I crack myself up. I would do Audible though. I think Audible would be a good one. I mean, it's audiobooks. This seems like one that almost every content creator eventually gets. It's like low-hanging fruit. Like, if you want to read books, there it is. It's on Audible. I would actually be over the moon to get contacted by like Uphold. I think Uphold would be great. I'm thinking about getting their debit card myself, so it's like that's something I could definitely get behind. I mean, if Coinbase reached out to me, you know, this would be another easy one. I'm already using Coinbase. I'll just spoil it. I've been with talks with Uptrade. They're another brokerage. They're similar to Uphold or Coinbase, but they identify themselves as a boutique brokerage. So I think there's some cool stuff with that. And we'll talk more about that after I have my video with them. I've already done one video with them already, but we have another one coming. So I guess I just sort of spoiled the surprise there. But these guys have a really cool setup. Basically, what makes them stand out is that because they're boutique, there's no chat bots. They don't have call centers. I think they've only got a staff of maybe 20 to 25 people. And so if you have an issue, you call them and you're quite literally talking with the same people. So I think there's a lot of value in that, you know, if you're having issues with crypto, let's say you can't make a trade, you can't get in, whatever, all these things that happen with Coinbase and Gemini and some of the other, you know, I haven't heard people having trouble with Kraken, but if you did, it's very hard to get support. With these guys, their whole thing is staying small enough that you can still get that support because you're going to be talking to the same people. And then they offer a 401k program where, and I think I'm actually probably going to do this myself, you can roll an existing IRA into their IRA and literally buy any token you want. You don't have to worry about an ETF. To me, that was probably the coolest thing when I was talking with them. I was like, this is something I could see myself doing for myself. You know, you guys know I haven't been working a day job, so money's a little bit tighter than I'm used to. But at the same time, I want to take advantage of these dips. Well, if I had my IRA rolled over to uptrade, even if I just did a small amount, you know, I could roll $10,000 over. I could hit my H bar goal in literally one transaction, right? Because up here in the top left, you see H bars at what, in 8 cents. So if you were to throw 10 grand at that, you are already getting something like 100,000 and some change H bar. I mean, dude, that would literally be a forever bag. In fact, let me math that out. So if I were to throw 10 grand, I feel stupid right now. Do I want to divide it? No, I don't want to divide. Or do I want to divide? I do want to divide. Yeah, okay, so, you know, I did a video saying, and I still believe this, that you want to have 100,000 H bar. It doesn't have to be overnight. You know, it's just something you could DCA towards. But what I'm trying to say here is, if I were to do, and I would actually do this myself. I would do this myself. If I were to roll over $10,000 into a crypto IRA, which, you know, I'm 33, I've been investing a long time. There's plenty of IRA for me to go around. I could get my H bar goal in one full swoop. In fact, I could get beyond it because I'm not starting from zero. If I were to throw 10 grand into H bar right now using Uptrade's 401k program, that would lock me in forever. I'd be good to go. They would have asset management custody, so I don't have to worry about losing a wallet. I wouldn't have to worry about one of you fine gentlemen out there coming to my house with ski masks on. Kidding, by the way. I know you guys wouldn't do that, but someone might think of trying it. Well, I wouldn't have to worry about, like, okay, good luck getting into my asset managed brokerage, right? So there's layers of security there that I think would be very attractive for a lot of people. And then because I would have actual custody of the tokens, mind you, it would still be on their platform. When the day comes to eventually start using these, unlike the ETF, all I'd have to do is, you know, go through the process of rolling these out of the IRA, and then whether I'm paying an early penalty on that or not, or if I wait till I'm 59, then I'd still have the tokens. Then I could put the tokens in my normal wallet and get them staked and all that fun stuff. So I'm going to keep working with these guys. We'll see where that develops, but nothing's happened quite yet. SQ1 says, crypto is dead. The next play is utility projects. I mean, yeah, you know, everything has haters. So, I mean, if that's how you feel about it, but don't expect me to agree with that. Again, you know, I'm not here to change the whole world, but everyone's allowed to have their own opinion. Not surprised to see people coming out here to try to kick us while we're down, though. This is something that, you know, happens, right? Obviously, you look at crypto, it's red bars all the way down. No one in crypto is having a good day right now in terms of cashing out. Maybe there's some people that shorted the market, but beyond that, everyone's kind of, you know, hunkering down and getting ready for the crypto winter. Now, when SQ1, I'm assuming that you probably don't buy crypto. Well, I hope that you're not, you know, kicking yourself when crypto goes back up, which I'm almost positive that it will, probably in the next 6 to 12 months. But we'll just kind of keep that where it is. Don't need to drag that one out. But anyways, that's kind of the idea that I've been kicking around with Uptrade. The 401k program is something I'm really interested in. So we'll have more on that coming out soon. Let's see, what did we all hit today? We hit the Flare data set, the XRP data set. I don't think I looked at silver and gold yet. Let's just pop into those and see how those are doing. Silver is down to 76. So we had a little bit of relief on it over the weekend, and then there it is. Now it's back down to 75. I would say we're probably due for some hardcore corrections market wide, and it looks like we're getting hit with crypto and metals first. I would not be the least bit surprised if in the very near future, if we start to see some really drastic corrections in the S&P 500. I mean, even now, S&P 500 down 1% on the day, so not that crazy, you know, considering the fact that we just watched our crypto get basically deleted. But I do think that this is going to, this number right here is going to go down pretty fast. I just don't know when, but things are definitely changing in the global space. Japanese bonds, I don't want to say unfortunately, but pretty flat for the past 5 days, have not really moved a whole lot. So gonna have to continue watching this. I don't think the reverse carry trade is going to happen as imminently as I did a couple weeks ago. Just is what it is. I think we're probably due for some hunkering down. So you got to hunker down. Did I touch on the missing old lady in Arizona? You said just kidding, so I don't know if that was a joke or if there is a story to that, but I have no idea about that. It could be fun to talk about, though. Steph says, in December, I saw a clip of the head of the IMF saying the future of money is digital, and any country that doesn't wake up to that fact will be left behind. I mean, this stuff is like... Sorry, I got eye crusties. I'm not, that wasn't like an emotional reaction. It was just me picking at my eyeballs. The writing is on the wall, you guys. I mean, just think of how everything else is moving. Your whole entire life is on this thing now. The cell phone. Everything that you do has to somehow integrate with this device, right? Well, I can't just go stick a dollar bill into this, and I can't stick a silver coin into it either. I mean, in super duper layman's terms, crypto integrates with the cell phone. To me, it's that alone. I don't even need all the other technical analysis, even though, I mean, we're definitely here for it. The fact that crypto just works on the cell phone is all that I need to hear to know that, sorry, I'm looking at the chat. Crypto being able to move on the cell phone is all I need to hear to know that this is the future. There's no other direction that it could go. And so, yeah, we're being shook out right now, but if you just hang in there, it's very obvious that this is the future for sure. Anyone that doesn't get on board will be left behind. I think having metals is good. You know, obviously silver and gold and platinum as well. They've definitely got their space. I personally wouldn't want to have, you know, cash at this point, however. So US dollar to me, not something I want to have too much on hand. And so I'm not worried about all of this. I know looking at the markets being down, we all want the Lambo, right? AL, if you want your M&M analogy, let's go with the Lambo analogy. I know we want that red Lambo, that blue Lambo. You wanna go into the driveway and see your driveway looks like the Skittles package, right? A Lambo in every color. It's just gonna take a little bit, but I definitely think it's coming. What else is there for us to look at today? Mill says it's not a cell phone. It's a data capturing device that also happens to make phone calls and interface with crypto. Yeah. In a lot of ways, we already are cyborgs. It's just that the chip didn't go into your head. It went into this box. if that makes sense. But we already are living in a cyborg world. I mean, you ever look at sorority girls that lose their cell phones? They almost kind of like break down. They're almost inoperable. You know, they can't exist without it. And I apologize if any sorority girls are watching this live stream. I'd be really surprised if there were. But I think you guys know what I mean. Maybe that could go down a polarizing route. I know there's just some ladies in the chat, so you know we're just having good fun. Most crypto buyers tend to be men, so we make some men related jokes from time to time. I want to jump over to Twitter. We've got about 20 minutes left. Let's just see let's see what kind of fires people are starting. I'm sure everybody's very inflammatory today. Ric Flair, a pretty popular Flair poster, throwing mud at Bitcoin. Probably going to be seeing a lot of that over the next couple of weeks. Daniel says, we need a V-shaped recovery. You know what? I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if we get one. I mean, if you look, you know, I keep jumping back and forth from the charts, but if you look at some of the worst dips we've ever seen for XRP, like even going back to 2021 and 2022, almost every time there's a sharp dip, there's almost always a recovery. I think the sharp dips are not nearly as bad as the slow bleeds. Like, I wasn't personally in XRP at this time, but can you imagine going from 2021 September, XRP's at $1.40, and just watching this thing slowly bleed out, like, my goodness, going all the way to May of 2022. That is like a 8 or 9 month period. I guess that's what we're going through right now. Just for this thing to stay dormant for two and a half years, you guys. Some of you guys that have been in the game, you've already experienced this. I didn't really start buying XRP until around this time right here. I don't know my exact dates, but you guys know I got into XRP in 2024. So I never felt that the first time I bought XRP, I had no pain. I did not experience any of that 2021 pain that we're feeling right now. None of us really know where this is gonna go. It's certainly interesting though. I mean, my goodness, guys, since I started this stream, at 11 a.m. We were at $1.30. Now it's at $1.26. I mean, we could see this thing hit $1 within the next week. But I'm not worried because I know it'll go back up, you guys. It will go back up. And when it goes back up, we're just going to have more bag. You just, I just saw Turtle Wow, so I got to read this one. We got nothing but time. We got Jim hiking and good old Turtle Wow. I'm going to watch Margin Call in the Big Short while we watch this bloodbath. I never played Turtle Wow. I did play Classic Anniversary. I'm sure you probably understand Warcraft terminology, but to this day, I hold a 99 parse in AQ40, so I locked that in. I played a rogue, not warrior, so I felt pretty good about parsing a 99. I know that no one else watching this is going to get what I just said, but it basically means that of all the rogues that played Classic Anniversary, I was better than 99% of them, so big flex. If I play a game, I don't play it to just play. I play it to be the best at it. That's the way I am. I play Halo on Legendary. I played Dark Souls doing the stupid builds where you're running around with no clothes on. That's just the way I roll in video games. I want to be good at stuff. I I had to tell my guild I wasn't doing TBC because I can't make content and also play WoW. It's got to be one or the other. So I had to unfortunately quit WoW. Ooh, you got a 97 in BWL. What was your class? I'd be interested to hear that one. Crypto Topaz says there is a fire sale in zombie voice on these assets. Ooh, April 3rd. I'd like to know, what do you think is on April 3rd? Besides my April Fool's video that I've been kicking around. We'll see if I make that one. If I do an April Fool's video, it's going to be absurd, you guys. It's going to be very douchey, intentionally. We'll see about that one. While I'll wait for Gangsta, I'm gonna let's just collect some salt. Let's collect some tears. This guy right here is saying he wants a 50-cent XRP. Ooh, Gangsta played a warrior. He said Zug Zug, so I'm assuming that meant orc. If you guys don't know, if you've never played World of Warcraft, orc is the most broken race. It's absurd. You guys aren't gonna know what I'm talking about, but I played rogue, and what rogue does is they like knock people out, right? Like when you get knocked out, your character's stunned, they can't move. Well, orcs have this built-in ability that they can resist getting knocked out. So I hate orcs. I hate orcs with a freaking passion, man. I'm assuming that if you say Zug Zug, that means you probably played orc. But that's how it is for the Alliance, baby. You know, you gotta be the beautiful races, you know, the humans, the elves, the dwarves. Oh, here we go. Andrew Tate's buying 2 million Bitcoin at 67,000. But he so he's not afraid to buy some cheap Bitcoin, but he's afraid to go to clubs in Miami and be his true self. But we don't gotta go down that road. Let's see what else we got. Just more people. There's a lot of blood in the water here. 95 million FXRP minted on Flare. Now this is a good one. I think if we were to pull up the Flare assets, let me make sure I'm not logged into my wallet still. Okay, I'm not. That's good. I don't know if the Flare assets page has a good chart, but I saw somewhere. Yeah, I don't know if this chart's only a week old. I don't know if there's a better chart here on their site, but basically, oh, okay, here we go. Year to date. So, oh, this is going in dollar value. I want to see, I don't want to see inflow. I just want to see total minting coins. So anyways, the point I'm trying to get to here is the FXRP minting just keeps going up and up. Once someone goes into FXRP, it's very rare that they redeem it. I know that Flare posts graphs from time to time showing that, but I don't know if this chart tells the story very well. But this is cool stuff. Something to think about. If you have FXRP, that's XRP that can't be used by the institutions when they do their reverse carry trade over there in Japan. I know we've only got about 100 million of it locked up, but just subtract that number from the total available FX or XRP pool. I wonder how Ripple feels about that. I wonder if Ripple, like, I feel like Ripple and Flare have a good relationship, but I wonder how they feel about Flare designing this platform that can kind of hijack XRP and make it into its own Frankenstein monster. But at the same time, XRP is supposed to be a decentralized token. So it's real interesting to me to see. I would be curious to know, how do some of the guys over there at Ripple feel about Flare doing stuff like this? You guys know my stance on it. I love it. Basically everything Flare does makes me excited. But I wouldn't be surprised if some of the old heads at Ripple don't like it. Mr. IQ man over here. This guy is just out of control. Of course, he predicts every single crash because he predicts something every single day. So I want to see this chat because I think this one's important. Crypto Topaz says, COD reference, April 3rd was said the Clarity Act will be signed by Trump. You know, if that's true, if Clarity Act does go through in April, that means we've got 2 months probably to continue stacking. So I think that would be nice. And then I appreciate Ola's, I don't know how to pronounce this one, Olzik. But yeah, I appreciate that you guys feel the same way. I don't necessarily want us to bomb Iran just to start this oil crisis, you know. If you guys watch Jake Claver, he's got this prediction that, for what it's worth, seems to hold a lot of water. He's basically saying that if the U.S. strikes Iran, there's going to end up being an oil crisis in the Middle East, which means Japan would also have an oil crisis because it'd be a supply issue. If we know just simple macroeconomics, anytime that there's a supply crunch, price shoots up. So if there is war in Iran and the price of oil shoots up in Japan, that could essentially force the reverse carry trade to happen overnight. And that would make all of us exuberantly wealthy out of thin air. But, you know, I try to be a good Christian. I'm not always the best. I tell people I'm a Catholic, but I never said I was a good one. But I don't know that I feel comfortable wishing for bad things to happen just so that I can make a ton of money. I feel like there's a line there that gets crossed. So it's one thing to see which way the wind is blowing and then make predictions based on that, and then it's another thing to be cheerleading for it. And that's something I always try to kind of bring us back to, that as far as the reverse carry trade goes, you know, some bad things might be the catalyst for it, and then some bad things might happen in the aftermath. So it could go preemptively, and what's the word for not preemptive? Whatever, you guys get the idea. I don't want to necessarily wish for bad things to happen just so that I can make a profit. So I would almost actually hope that XRP finds another route than the oil crisis. This is a crazy meme. I don't know if YouTube's going to let me show that one, but it was the painter versus Epstein in an AI UFC fight. Gotta love the AI videos. You know, I only follow crypto channels on my Twitter, but somehow, some way, things that are not crypto related end up in my feed. I'd imagine a lot of you probably have that same problem, but it can make exploring the Twitter space on stream very difficult when I only follow crypto channels. For some reason, I get tons of street fights or like women doing provocative things. So it can make things a little tricky here. We got a Dave Ramsey photo. So you put 10 grand on a credit card to trade crypto, and in 5 years you turn it into $500,000. Yes, Dave. And then you lost it all in a month, and in those 5 years you never paid off the credit card, which now has a 50,000 balance. That's correct. I mean, I don't know how true that is, but that's one more reason, guys. Don't buy on leverage. Just buy with money you actually have. And if you don't have the money, stop watching my stream and go work. I'm just kidding. Leave the stream on, but try not to buy on leverage. Just in general. It's just not a good idea. Dean says Flare just hit a 365-day low of 0.0089. I think that actually might be its historic low. Let's pop in. I definitely think it's close. By the way, guys, we got 10 minutes left, so If you have any last minute questions, ask them now because we're going to start wrapping this up soon. The lowest flare has ever been in the history of flare would have been in this range. So let's tighten this chart up and we'll see if we can get a good... okay, so it's the lowest it has ever been. I just saw it. Let's tighten up a little bit more. The lowest flare has ever been is 0.00833. We are like 4 or 5% away from that. I would almost buy some flare right here just to say I bought the cheapest flare that ever existed. I don't know how much of it I'd buy. It'd probably be more of a ceremonial purchase. But that ain't too far off. I think it'd have to fall another 10% to get there. Wow. I mean, right now it's the second lowest. So it's lower now than any of the other previous dips since that early day. I think it was March in 2023. So pretty good stuff there. If you don't have a lot of flare, you could get more flare right now. This is the funny part that is almost like a kick in the ass. There's been people that have been in flare for so long, you guys, that have been, you know, their dollar cost averaging at 3 cents, at 2 cents, whatever. You have an opportunity here, if you have dry powder, to possibly pass up long-term flare holders just by doing a lump sum payment when it's at this low of a price. Like, if you were to throw $10,000 in right now, you would end up with more than 1 million flare. And I know that there's been people that dollar cost averaging for the past 2 or 3 years that don't have 1 million flare, and they might have put in more than $10,000, maybe put in more than $20,000 or even $30,000. Super duper 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 not financial advice, but just something to think about. If you do have the dry powder, flare being this cheap is like crazy to me. ZK says, would you stack flare or XRP right now if you had to pick? Man, that's a tough one. If I had to pick, you're telling me I can't split? If I can't split and I had to pick one, I'm probably picking XRP. But if I'm allowed to split, I would say go 50-50 right now. Like if you hypothetically came across 20 grand tomorrow in a hypothetical conjecture situation that's definitely not financially advised, you could put 10 grand of that into XRP and walk away from that with like 8,000 XRP tokens, which is freaking nutty. And then you walk away with like 1.1 million flare, which is also nutty. I might have to call Uptrade tonight and be like, yo, I think I need to roll this IRA over. We'll see. We'll talk about that maybe tomorrow. My video with them my interview with them is tonight, so I'll probably have that video out tomorrow. So look out for that one. I think we'll be talking some interesting topics tonight. It's going to be a longer interview because the first one was just to see if we could do a proof of concept. So this will be a 40-minute interview. Going to ask a ton of questions. I might honestly get the ball rolling on this IRA thing because that would allow me, and I'll be transparent with you guys if I do it. That would allow me to really bag up some H bars, yeah, I think I'm good on XRP, honestly. I don't want to say exactly how much I have, but this could be an opportunity to pick up some H bar, some quant. So I'm going to be thinking all that over. Let's see, which one's down worse? So in the past 7 days, H bar's down 20%. Oh, XRP is down 30%. Maybe just buy XRP for now, you guys. Down 30% is pretty brutal. Flare's only down 12%. Maybe you guys, maybe we just buy XRP for now and let's see if Flare drops a little bit more. The bigger the dip, the bigger the buy. Yeah, Black. Well, I think I'm with you, Black. Now that I've seen the numbers side by side, 43% in 30 days is pretty severe. H bar, I think. Let's see how that one looks on 30 days. H bar is down 35%. I'd say that now that I'm looking at this and thinking about it a little bit more, if XRP goes to $1, you could throw 10 grand in and you would have 10K XRP. And I do still believe that 10K XRP will probably change your life in the next 5 years. Assuming that you had 10 grand, and this is completely not financial advice, and I hate that I have to always say that, but don't buy anything right now that you... I love you guys. I don't think that you guys in the stream would do this, but I've gotten some people in the comments section in the past two days or so. Yeah, you told us to buy this stuff and now it's down. It's like, I told you guys this wasn't financial advice and that you still have to do your own research. The do your own research part is still pretty important. Not a big deal. There's always going to be people upset, but just something to think about. Just because I'm saying what I'm doing doesn't mean that everyone should do it. But if you had the capital and you don't need it for rent or for your auto payment or whatever you got to pay for, I mean, geez, guys, $1.25 XRP. How much would that be? That, am I thinking this right? That'd be 7,500. Oh, 8. You could buy 8,000 XRP right now for 10 grand, or you could wait a couple of days. It might get down to $1. Yeah, you could, if you had 10 grand, you bought H bar right now, you could get 125,000 H bar, and that would be your forever bag. You would never need to buy H bar ever again, I don't think, and that would also be like mind-blowing money someday. Really exciting, actually. If you really unpack all the stuff we're looking at right now, almost like salivating at the mouth thinking about it. I got time. I'll do one more question. Whoever gets it first, it gets their question answered, and then I'm going to have to wrap this up. It looks like Oli got there first, you guys. Maybe I'll do 2 questions since that one came in while I was talking. So Ollie's says, so you think we'll get the Clarity Act passed by the end of February like Trump asked them to do? Man, when it comes to this Senate, I don't want to... I'm at this stage now where it's like, I'm just going to wait to see what happens, because this is like some serious politicking, and the Democrats might just nuke it all together. The whole Minneapolis thing is getting out of control. Haven't talked about Minneapolis for a few days, but that doesn't mean that I'm not watching it. I think the Republicans and Democrats are going to do things. It's like cutting your own arms off. I think that's what they're doing there. So right now, I'm at the position where I'm just going to wait and see what happens with the Clarity Act, and I'm done making predictions on it, because anything I say will probably end up being wrong. Yeah, not political advice. That's a good one. Sometimes you just have to admit that there's too much chaos to be able to come up with a prediction. And so I'm just going to wait and see. But I'm not hopeful about February. Maybe April 3rd is... We'll just have to see how it plays out. Last question from Pat. What's for lunch? Well, I'm gonna go to Costco. I have to grab some fruit and vegetables, or actually, I don't really eat vegetables. I have to go grab some fruit and meat. I'm on kind of a modified carnivore diet where I'm mostly carnivore, but I eat a lot of fruit. You know, you need carbs if you're gonna be training for a marathon. So it's you know, it just is what it is. Otherwise, it'd be a mostly meat diet. But I gotta go stock up on bananas and apples, grab some more cow meat. Got to get that cow meat, and then probably eat whatever samples they got. And then AL says, Dean, I don't recommend. Do your own research. People won't like the results. You guys are awesome. So I appreciate. Just want to give a special shout out again to. You know, we had AL3 and Musty. Appreciate both of you guys for these super chats. I mean, that's the kind of stuff right there that helps me keep this thing going. And so we'll be back here live tomorrow. I'm working on a collab video tonight. It probably won't be ready until tomorrow evening. So keep an eye out for that. As always, thanks you guys for hopping in here. Thanks for... I want to say it was Baller that bought the hat. We're just getting this thing rolling. So all this stuff is every drop in the bucket helps grow this channel right now. So we'll keep plugging away at it, and I'll probably have a couple videos coming out this weekend because there's just been so much crazy stuff going on. So anyways, collab videos tomorrow. And then we'll keep working on some of this flare stuff and the Mystic, and there's a lot of different threads I'm pulling on. So real excited to get you guys some more information. All right, I gotta go to Costco and eat samples and get my fruit. I'll see you guys in the next one.